Jai Jinendra. Welcome to Adults Class 2, Practical Applications of Jainism. Let's start with the Nokar mantra. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayaryanam, Namo Ujjainam, Namo Loe Sabasahunam, Eso Pancha Namo Karo, Sabha Pavupanasano, Mangalalam Chasave Singh Paramam Have Mangalam. Is there a right way to breathe? Or is whatever way you happen to be breathing the right way? There's got to be a right way to breathe, I guess. There's got to be a right way to breathe. Anybody agree? That's right, there is a right way to breathe. The right way to breathe is through your nose, because your nose filters and humidifies the air that you're breathing, and it helps produce nitric oxide, which helps oxygen absorption. Okay? Also, you're supposed to, do we have any singers or doctors here? You're supposed to breathe so that your belly expands, your diaphragm expands, not so that your chest expands. There's two ways to breathe, right? And so when you engage your diaphragm, you also improve oxygen exchange, which is the whole point of breathing, and you lower the stress in your body. So let's try it. First, let's try the wrong way. Let's try to breathe so our chest, our upper body expands. Okay, now let's try the right way. Let's try to engage the diaphragm so our belly expands. Anybody notice a difference? I noticed that I normally breathe through the chest, so that's wrong. I have been breathing the wrong way.
Shallow breaths, right? That's like more shallow, and this is deeper.
Right, correct, yeah. So there is something special about breathing. Breathing are one of the three things that you need to sustain your body. I figure you need to eat, you need to breathe, and you need to remove waste, right? So we talk about eating all the time. We talk about eating too much, right? We talk about onions and garlic and Jane food and carrots and root vegetables, and we talk about eating all the time. There's not much to talk about removing waste. Like, you do it or you don't do it, and that's it, right? But breathing we don't talk about as much. And it's one of the three things we need to sustain our body. How you doing? Come on in. Thanks for coming this year. There's something special about breathing. Unlike most bodily functions, breathing is both automatic and voluntary. That is, you can take control of your breathing, or if you decide not to, it will happen automatically. Let's think about other processes. Your heart is automatic, but it's not voluntary. You can't directly take control of it. You can indirectly do it by sitting down or by doing exercise to make it go slower or faster, but you can't directly take control of it like you can breathing. Also, hey, come on in. Thanks for coming this year. Also, breathing helps regulate our nervous system. There's actually two kind of modes our nervous system can be in. That is fight or flight, or that which is the sympathetic nervous system, or parasympathetic, which is rest and digest, right? So by switching your breathing, you can activate the different modes of your nervous system. Also, remember, breathing, we can tell how people are feeling by the way they're breathing, because it's an expression of emotion. When you're angry, or when you have a temper, or when you're excited, you get short of breath. You breathe faster. But if you're calm, then you breathe slower. Hi, come on in. We have class today. Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome to our first class this year. Thank you guys for coming. I thought nobody was going to come.
Should I keep it open?
Yeah.
Is this not working?
Yeah, it's not working.
None of the AC's working?
No, we only
Is the fan
that
not working?
To that thing. Can I turn that thing on? Or?
It's too loud.
It's too loud.
Too loud.
This fan is also
Also loud. So, not only that, most people think that the mind-body connection is one way. That is, your mind gives the orders and your body obeys the command. You command yourself to breathe when you take over and you breathe. But it actually works both ways. Sometimes the body influences the mind. Can anybody give me an example?
Hunger.
Exactly. So your mind doesn't get hungry. Your body gets hungry, and it influences the mind to feel the hunger and seek food. If you ever have trouble going to the gym, when I realized this works the other way too, is when I heard the advice, well, just go to the gym and promise you'll leave after 5 minutes. Just go and change and just leave after 5 minutes. And then the physically going to the gym and putting new clothes on my body makes me want to exercise. And I'm like, oh, I'm here. So then I might as well do my 30 minutes to an hour of exercise. And I was fully capable of leaving after 5 minutes because I promised myself I would. But then I didn't want to. So actually the body influences the mind in more ways than you might expect. And that goes for breathing. So if you control your breathing, you can control your mind. That is, you can control your stress, you can control your emotions, you can control your sleep. Remember what breathing is for. Breathing is to bring oxygen to your body, and the better you breathe, if you breathe the right way, like we talked about, you get better oxygen delivery. So questions or comments about that? We talked about there is a right way to breathe, unlike what most people think. We talked about breathing is very special because it's automatic and voluntary, unlike the heart or unlike other things, which are either automatic or either voluntary. Breathing is both automatic and voluntary. It's one of the 3 things you need to sustain your body, and we talked about how it helps influence the mind. Any questions or comments on that? All right, let's continue. So you have a nasal cycle. Most people don't know, but you only really breathe through one nostril at a time. You can take a deep breath and take a deep breath out, and you're only going to feel air through one nostril. It changes every 2 to 6 hours. I'd say like 90% one nostril and 10% the other nostril. And it's called the nasal cycle, right? We only notice when we're sick that we breathe through one nostril. But in fact, when you're healthy, you only breathe through one nostril at a time. And that's regulated by the autonomic nervous system, the same system that controls things like your heartbeat and your digestion and things like that. All right, so enough talk. This class is not about talking. This class is about doing. Let's try a breathing exercise. We're not going to close our eyes because this is not meditation. We're just because we want to try to learn these things while we're awake, while we're in the world, while we're at work, while we're reading a book, while we're talking with somebody. So we want to try to do these exercises normally. So the first exercise we are going to do is called box breathing, and it's just because it's 4 seconds of inhalation, 4 seconds you hold it, you exhale for 4 seconds, and you hold that for 4 seconds. So that's why it's like a box. It's like a square. So 4, 4, 4, 4. Ready? Let's try it. I closed my eyes. Why did I do that?
So it's 4 minutes of breathe in, 4 minutes.
4 seconds.
4 seconds.
Okay, so did anybody get anything out of that? Did we try to breathe to engage our diaphragm instead of the upper body? Did we try to breathe to extend our belly? Did anybody learn anything? It's okay if the answer is no. Here's the first exercise.
What's the benefit of holding it for 4 seconds?
The benefit of holding it for 4 seconds is you get a space between breaths.
And are you supposed to be doing from the top or from more?
You're supposed to be doing it to extend your belly, not to extend your chest. So what is a diaphragm? Hey, come on in. How you doing? Come on in. Do we have any doctors or singers in the house? What is a diaphragm? Yeah, what's a diaphragm?
Oh, it's a separates the thoracic from the abdominal cavity.
Okay.
So it's a membrane.
A membrane, okay. We're supposed to breathe to engage our diaphragm. Where is the diaphragm located in the body? Can you show me?
Yeah, below the rib cage.
Below the rib cage, okay? So we want to engage our diaphragm below the rib cage when we breathe. Let's try it. That does feel different. Now let's try the wrong way. Let's try breathing so that our chest expands. Unfortunately, that feels normal to me because I breathe the wrong way. So I gotta try to breathe the right way. So questions or comments about that? Hi, come on in. Thanks for joining us today. Oh, we have more people.
Thank you.
I'm surprised. Thanks to everybody just joining us. We're talking about how special it is to be breathing. We talked about there's a right and a wrong way to breathe. We talked about the nasal cycle. We talked about why breathing is special. And we practiced a breath exercise. So if breathing is special, hey, come on in. How you doing? So if breathing is special, there's something that's even more special. And we hit on it earlier. It's the space between breaths. The scientific name is the interbreath interval. Okay? Now there's two spaces between breaths that like we talked about. There's a space after you exhale, and there's a space after you inhale. All right? So now in everyday life, this kind of space between breaths is milliseconds. But just like when we slow down breathing and when we think about breathing, we can make it last for seconds, right? And then this space lets your body balance CO2 and O2 levels. Hey, come on in. It lets you stabilize your heart rate, and it supports the parasympathetic nervous system, that is the rest and digest nervous system. So if we don't think about breathing at all, we certainly don't think about the space between breaths. But I'm actually telling you that's more important than breathing. Because breathing is motion, breathing is doing, breathing is action. Okay? The space between breaths is deciding. The space between breaths is stillness. And the space between breaths is thoughtfulness. So we sometimes call it antar kumbhak, which is the pause after inhalation, and baya kumbhak, which is the pause after exhalation. It's the moment when thoughts soften and awareness becomes sharper. And it's where you notice the stillness underneath your movement. So now let's try it again. And now let's see if we can pay attention to how special that moment is. Let's try to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and notice what happens in your body and mind when you hold it. Breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold it for 4 seconds, and notice what happens in your body and in your mind. Don't close your eyes. We're going to do this while we're awake, while we're moving around and walking around. It's not a meditation exercise. So let's try it. Okay, very good. Did anybody get anything out of that? No? It's okay if the answer is no. Did anybody notice that there was a space between breaths where you hadn't noticed it before? And that there's something special going on in your mind and your body in that space? Was it hard for anybody to not breathe for 4 seconds? To hold your breath for 4 seconds? Was it harder to hold it in or keep it out? Which space was harder? I got both, so something different for both different people. For me, it's harder to hold it in. It's very easy for me to keep it out. I can go for many seconds, maybe even as many as 7 seconds out. But in is very hard for me. And that comes with practice. Your lungs are need practice just like any other thing, and so you can practice that. So it's okay if you didn't really get anything, but I'm telling you that there's something there. That is, there's something that's different between your breaths, and you'll notice it if you pay attention to it. And remember, breathing is both automatic and voluntary. You can take control of it whenever you want. So we talked for 30 minutes. What does that have to do with Jainism?
Awareness for your thoughts. You're aware of what's happening. Is it connected?
Breathing. Say it again. Sorry.
So you're aware when you're. So
Right.
Jainism is more about being aware of your thoughts.
Being aware of your thoughts. And what does that have to do with breathing?
To live in present, it reminds you to live in present and like focus on yourself.
So you're breathing your whole life, right? But are you living in the present moment your whole life? It's when you take control of your breathing that reminds you to live in the present moment, right? Because you take over, right? So it gives you something to focus on, right? To anchor yourself, to live in the present moment. Because you focus on it, you focus on the feeling, you focus on the doing, right? And then you don't you have something else. So remember, your thoughts are different from your awareness, right? Your thoughts are supplied from your subconscious brain to your conscious brain. You have no control over that. You have no control over the thoughts that are supplied to your conscious brain. You do have control over the attention you give that thought, right? Whether you let it capture your attention and let it lead to the next thought, or whether you let it go, right? So if you move your attention to something else, it's easier to let your thoughts go. And that's, I think, what you guys were getting at, right? But it's hard to put into words. That is, when you focus on, let's say, something else, and it doesn't have to be your breath, you could focus on something you see or something you hear. Then you don't have to focus on your thoughts. It's harder for them to capture your attention, right? But the reason we use the breath is because we always have it. We might not always be able to see, we might not always be able to hear, we might not always have our Jainism book, but our breath is something we always have. So it's something that we can always let capture our attention instead of our thoughts. Great answer. But what does that have to do with Jainism? I just spent 5 minutes talking and didn't mention Jainism once.
Is it connected to anything like body and soul that we generally talk about?
Right, so where are your thoughts? Are your thoughts in the realm of the body or are your thoughts in the realm of the soul? Soul, body. Body. Your thoughts are supplied by your conscious brain and subconscious brain and delivered to your conscious brain, and you have no control over that. And is your brain your body or your soul? Brain is your body. So the thoughts are the realm of the body. But your awareness, your attention, is a characteristic of soul. G. One of the characteristics is that it provides you with attention. And so this is where the demarcation happens. You have the brain and thoughts, and you have the soul and attention. And your brain is constantly trying to capture a characteristic of your soul, your attention. And so by understanding this, we can understand that our soul is different from our body. And if we understand that, then that's where all this mumbo jumbo I was talking about starts to make sense, about the space between breaths and motion and stillness and calmness and deciding and action. And that's when you start to realize that, there actually is something there. It's not just words that he's saying that sound nice but don't mean anything. There's actually meaning there. And there's actually meaning in the space between breaths. So questions or comments about that?
So I'm eager to know what is this something or the meaning that in that space.
What is the meaning of the space? The space provides you stillness, not motion, and deciding. Okay?
And
Deciding.
okay.
Whereas the breath is motion and action and execution. Okay? So there are lots of parallels between that and between the soul and the body. Okay? There's lots of parallels between that and your life and how you live your life. And so I'm not trying to hide the ball. I'm not trying to say that, oh, it's something that you must discover for yourself. I'm telling you what the meaning is.
So the breathing, the way we did just now, makes you more closer to your soul rather than your body. That's your thoughts which are in your brain.
That's right. Because when you focus on your breath, you are practicing mindfulness, which we talk about all the time, right? And we talk about the goal is to live our life mindfully. So, if you always have your breath, and you always want to live your life mindfully, and I told you that you can take control of your breath whenever you want, what is it that I want you to do?
Closer to your soul.
And how do I want you to do that?
By controlling your breathing.
When do I want you to control your breathing?
All the time.
All the time. This is what I'm telling you. If you take away anything from this class today, take this away. If you control your breathing, like I just showed you that you could, like you're always aware that you can. If you control your breathing for every waking moment of your life will profoundly change. And I'm not even talking about reading the book or thinking about what it has to do with Jainism or even thinking about the mind and the soul and the body are different. All I'm saying is if you control your breathing, don't let it be automatic. Live your life controlling your breathing every second. Your life is going to profoundly change for the better. That is, it is a shortcut to mindfulness. Okay? People always ask me, oh, what is the one thing that I should be doing? People always want a back door or a cheat code. Okay? I'm telling you right now what the cheat code is. Breathe in and breathe out voluntarily your entire life. And you can't do it right now, but try to do it. You can do it while you're talking. That is, be conscious of your breathing and breathe voluntarily. You can do it while you're playing a video game. You can do it while you're reading a book. You can do it while you're watching television. There's nothing saying you can't. I'm doing it right now because I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do it my whole life. If you do it your whole life, your life is going to profoundly change for the better. And that's the shortcut. That's the cheat code. That's the back door. Forget about Jainism. Forget about your soul. Most of you don't believe your soul. Most of you don't believe you're an there's an afterlife. I want you to improve your life right now. And take control of your breath. When you take control of your breath, you take control of your mind. And if you take control of your mind, you got 90% control of your body.
It's a good way to distract as well, yourself as well. Like right now it's a little warm.
Yeah.
But when you're thinking about breathing, you're more focused on that. So you get distracted from your maybe sufferings or too much happiness or some. But you say it's subtle in your day-to-day life.
That's
You're
right.
Focusing on.
And now you've experienced a glimpse of the power it is to have over your body. Because what is this life but a distraction from us doing Samvar and Nirjara? So if you focus on your breath, not only will you not care it's hot out here, not only will you not care that the door's open and that there's sound going on and that you're sweating, okay? You won't care about the money you have in your bank account. What is that but a distraction? If you focus on your breathing, you won't care about that argument you had yesterday. If you focus on your breathing, you won't care about the suffering that you experience that other people don't experience and how life is so unfair. So if you find just a fraction, if you're able to get over this heat because you focus on your breathing, that's just a glimmer of the power you have over yourself when you control your mind.
I feel like I would still think about it.
You would still think about how hot it is?
Or
If you were... Let's try it again. Let's try to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and see if you can think about how breathing is special, and more importantly, how the space between the breaths are special. Let's try. Was anybody able to distract themselves? Was anybody able to ignore the fact that it's hot and we're sweating? Yes? Okay. Oh, what? You got it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. It didn't have to work, but that's nice that it worked.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like I can do, you can do it for a few seconds.
Right.
But then
Well, if you can do something for a few seconds, you can do it for an hour. And if you can do it in an hour, you can do it your whole life, right?
yeah.
I mean, maybe not running, but maybe breathing. How about breathing? Can you breathe for the rest of your life? Is that possible? Well, I just told you it's both automatic and voluntary, so you can do it voluntarily for the rest of your life. And it doesn't have to be us being quiet. Let's try to let's talk. Let's live our normal life, and let's try to focus on our breathing. What should we do? What should we do that's normal? Everybody's got a phone. Let's check our email. Let's check our email and let's see if we can do it while we're voluntarily breathing.
That we
Can we do two things at the same time? Let's practice. Can we do two? You guys online too. Grab your phone. Let's practice doing two things at the same time. It's not easy, but you can get used to it.
No, this is my favorite class.
But I would say it's
We're-
hard to focus on.
Well, it's not easy, is it? This is something that's totally normal for you. You're checking your phone, and a lot of you forgot. A lot of you let your automatic breathing take over, right? I didn't tell you it was going to be easy. I did not tell you that. It is going to be hard. But what I will tell you is that it is worth it. You can do it, and if you practice, I have been able to do it for an hour. Now I'm trying to do it for the rest of my life, right? But certainly I didn't. I make no promises that it's going to be easy.
How do you try to breathe in the time crunch that we every day have on our daily life?
I know.
Just to wake up and start your day. How do you learn to breathe during those?
I think
Because that then just takes away the focus to get the work done that is stacked in your mind to complete it by maybe 6 o'clock, go to office,
Right. Right.
How do you do that? Because I just not tried to see my phone with my breathing activity. It slowed down my activity which I was doing over it. Like if I want to read an email, right? I'm just trying to focus on my breath. How can I then the same thing, I'm not saying that okay, that is a good thing to focus on your breath, but how can we get out with that daily time crunch always that we feel
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah.
Not necessarily we have, but we always feel the time is less to just do something. So
You're going to be surprised by the answer, but the answer is by breathing.
No.
The more you practice, I think, right?
Yeah.
The better you get it.
initially it has to be a conscious effort and
That's
it will
important.
slow you down.
yeah.
But then once you do that conscious effort, it becomes
Is
your
it
habit. That
चालू
okay, I
है
can
लेकिन
do that
हवा
along
नहीं
with
आ
the
रहा।
work going.
क्या नहीं आ रहा।
I read
Cool on है क्या
The
देखिए?
Secret.
Cool है?
That's what
That's what they say.
that's what they say in the beginning, that this book would be dry, but you make a conscious effort to get into that okay, you'll be positive about it. It's not easy, but just think that yes, I'll be positive, I'll get a parking right here, I'll get this right here, I'll be on time right here. And that conscious effort slowly and gradually get into your
So the question is, it's so hard. The question is, it's so hard. How am I supposed to do this my whole life? I have so many distractions. I have so much time crunch. How am I supposed to be able to try to do this? How am I supposed to remember to do it? And you'll be surprised at the answer. The answer is by breathing. That is how you're supposed to remember to do it. And that is how you're supposed to do it. And that will help you continue to do it. Is that an unsatisfying answer?
No. This is like multitasking, which essentially the brain is not meant for multitasking.
Right. So the brain is not meant for multitasking. I agree. So when you focus on your breathing, you are supposed to be only focused on doing that. I just said that, well, we're going to try to do it our whole life. We got to try to do it while we're living, right? But you're right. Mindfulness is not multitasking. Being aware and living in the present moment is not multitasking. This is a tool to help you do that. And some may call it distracting. Some may call it other things. But this is a tool to help you do that. Can we open the door? Okay. Other questions or comments? Sorry, we're losing our online people.
The internet's down.
Other questions or comments about breathing? Well,
नहीं वो इंटरनेट नहीं आ रहा.
So pranayama practice is how do you blend it into this understanding?
what is pranam practice?
It's different forms of breathing.
Good for you, man.
Thank you. Tell me what pranam practice is.
It's different forms of breathing.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. If we have different forms of breathing, then we can understand the power that it can do for us. There are other breathing exercises more than this 4-4-4-4. There's 4-7-8. There's multiple times you can do. And so if you do different breathing practices, that can only be good. Hey, how you doing? Okay, so what does the book say? The book says, anger speeds up blood circulation. Breathing becomes shallow and fast. Other desires and hunger are suppressed. Digestion stops. The brain becomes hyperactive and alert. Muscles become tight. Every time the adrenal gland makes stress hormones in response to a threatening situation, it accelerates the aging process. So the book says anger affects your breath. Holding one's breath, doing deep breathing exercises, counting up to 10, or reciting one Nokar mantra when faced with an anger-provoking situation gives one time to calm down and reassess the situation rather than quickly respond to it. So it lets us observe without reacting, right? And we know that reacting is the cause of most of our problems, the inability to let things go. It also, as we talked about, reduces identification with the body. That is, by watching your breath come and go, you see that the body is transient, it's not you. Your attention is you, your attention is a characteristic of your soul, and your soul is the knower and the observer. Questions or comments about that? Thank you to everybody joining us online. I see some new faces, so can you say hi and introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, my name is Evan. I've been listening in for years now, so very excited to actually be present for the first time.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody say hi to Eden.
Hello.
Bye.
Eden, this is everybody. All right, so what is the one thing I asked you guys to take away from this? Does anybody remember? Is anybody going to take it away?
Mindfulness, breathing and mindfulness.
If you control your breathing, you control your mind and profoundly change the way you look at it.
That's right. So all I'm asking you to do is to control your breath. Remember, you can take it over. Is to live your life consciously breathing. Okay? And all these other things are going to seep in underneath that when you try to do that. You'll notice different things. You'll notice yourself getting angry. And that's the first step. We never notice ourselves getting angry. That's why we're angry. If we were able to look at ourselves and see the way our face becomes ugly and see ourselves yelling at our children, why are we yelling at our children? If you were able to do that, if you're able to notice you're being angry, you would reduce your anger by 90%. Okay? And guess what? If you consciously breathe, you'll start to do that. And you'll start to notice other things about other people that don't consciously breathe. And all these things are going to come in the back door, and all you're doing is simply trying to be aware of your breath.
As you're saying, I just remember, like few years back when I joined yoga, I used to just go and do the yoga and come back. After a year, I realized the person is telling me to do some breathing in between my exercise, right? Then I realized when I breathe, I'm moving my body at the same time. Like I'm doing two things, right?
Right.
And then I realized that things are so different when I finish my exercise, what was not before. That was a lot of calmness it used to bring in me when I completed that 1 hour with breathing, that exercise. So now I can see if I relate that with my daily routine, what I was struggling to understand how I can multitask or maybe find that time. So I can maybe breathe and do the task, like, you know,
Yeah.
like, and that may bring peace what used to happen after my exercise.
Yeah.
I can actually make that happen, but that is not my practice, so I'm having difficulty to, you know.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's an amazing realization. You know what I realized at the gym? This was not as good a realization, but like I was doing exercises and they were not working because like I wasn't activating the right thing for that exercise. I thought like just doing the exercise was enough. No, but you have to feel it in the right place to know if you're doing it right. So I had that epiphany. So it's kind of like the same thing. If you do something without knowing why you're doing it, it's extremely hard. You have to know why you're doing it and know how it's supposed to feel. And that's why we're trying to do this. We're trying to understand, how is it that I'm supposed to be conscious of my breathing and eat my cereal or, you know, read my book or drive my car? That might be an easy one. Drive the car and breathe at the same time. Other questions or comments? Thank you guys for coming. I know this is our first class this year. I know it's hot too, but we'll try to work on that. We'll try to get everything cleaned up. We had a late start this year, and I'm sorry about that. It's just how the calendar worked out. But we do have classes coming up, and we should have a great semester. Oh, you guys want to get out of here? Well, no problem. I won't keep you. I hope that you learned something today. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, everybody, for joining us online. I really appreciate that. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.